All right, guys, we are back. Yesterday was a rough show. I couldn't see. Spags was exhausted, and yet we texted each other at about 10 last night, and we both got naps in, and Spags said we're nap buddies.
So yeah, the most adorable thing, or perhaps the most cringeworthy thing, depending upon where you're landing. But we are back on track today with a great Friday show. We've got our pal John Daigle from NBC Sports Edge joining us today. We're going to talk about some injuries that actually matter, ride or die picks for every Week 5 game, and a little bit of Southern hospitality mixed in along the way. So Pete, hit that intro. Let's get to it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Splash Play, the fantasy football podcast for every game under the sun. And once again, I am Chris Spags, joined by your friend and mine, Peter Overzet, as well as the man we teased before the break, NBC Sports Edge's John Daigle. John, how are you doing, my friend? It's been too long.
The thumbnail makes it look like I'm disappointed in Zeke, when really we should be pretty happy with him.
I mean
Spags, honestly, might be more on brand.
Spags knows all about my manipulation via thumbnails here. I'm always, just pulling at the strings there with those thumbnails.
Yeah, so we are excited to have John here with us today, but let's get the plugs out of the way. First of all, make sure you're following John at NotJDaigle on Twitter. That's Daigle. So go check him out. He's doing great work over at NBC Sports Edge. Of course, also make sure you're following at Splash Play Pod, because we are also following you back on there, because that's how much we care. If you follow us on Twitter and Instagram, we're following you, and you get to see whenever we're doing shows. So how could you lose out? And of course, this show is presented by Football Outsiders. So go to footballoutsiders.com/subscribe. Get DVOA, all the other advanced metrics they have on there, which are going to add a lot of value to how you look at an NFL slate. Get it for just $5 a month over at footballoutsiders.com/subscribe. And then actually, I'm making good time with the plugs today. So let's throw one more in there. If you want to be a guest on this show, just like John Daigle here, he doesn't have to do a review, but you out there, if you're a viewer, if you leave us 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts, you can be on this show, on our Thursday show, building lineups with us, just like our pal Paul Adair did yesterday. So please go leave us 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts. And of course, subscribe.
You beef me up to be a special guest, and then you say, just leave 5 stars and you can join the show as well.
Well, I think you're going to theoretically add more value, bring your takes. We built a segment around you. For them, they don't get the personalization. So that's the level of difference that's between it. I
appreciate that.
Yeah, so there you go. So, John, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with you, because you're one of the top voices over at NBC Sports Edge, and I feel like with a lot of the changes coming there, a lot of new faces, guys like Pat Kerrane, Denny Carter's over there. There's a lot of guys doing content that people are seeing a lot more of, but you are now like one of the old hands who's been there for a minute, a seasoned pro amidst all these rookies coming in. So how's that experience been for you, really being the leader of the program?
I feel like a seasoned pro. It feels like week 17 right now, even though it's only week 5. So that's always great. I ditched Pat Kerrane, a rookie, a new hire, on the newsfeed to be by himself for the next 45 minutes. So if your Gibson blurb gets filled in a little later, it's because Pat's hands are just completely full right now. Other than that, everything's going well. We're in a full-on regular season mode with 6 podcasts per week. I feel bad for people, actually, if they look at the feed on Monday or Tuesday, because it's literally just my face. It has to be absolutely exhausting if you look at the NBC Sports Edge Twitter account. But overall, we're just in the mode of full season. It's just it's been a long year so far.
Lots of great stuff going on over there. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Check out the podcast feeds. And I guess, John, give people the quick plugs about stuff that's going on over there that you're working on and the most proud of, because you guys have made a lot of overhauls over there. I know I know some folks over there that are doing great work behind the scenes. Ed is one of my pals that I like very much. So shout out to Ed Williams over there. But tell people just what's going on, because I think you guys overhauled everything in such a way that if they're just familiar with Roto World in the past, now it is so much more than just the news and notes items.
Shout out to Ed Williams, who also texted me this morning saying my rankings in the premium side are not up yet. They'll get up after the show, Ed. I promise you. There are only so many hours in the day I can fill. Also, waiver wire column I write on Tuesday, which everyone seems to yell about no matter what the rankings are. Again, a good football show. Hopefully it's good. On podcast, on iTunes and Spotify, if you want to subscribe as well. Plus, every Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, myself and Kyle Dvorak do a live DFS stream building block show that you can tune into this afternoon if you're hearing this in time.
Kyle, another man bun boy, so we got to show him that love. Pete, go ahead.
I think we're always trying to figure out, what is this show? What do we ultimately want this show to be? And it kind of just hit me now. I think we should have NBC Sports Edge employees come on and basically talk to their boss through this specific platform about kind of, their thing. We'll mediate reviews, raises, all that good stuff. So next week we're going to have Pat Doherty on, and he's going to tell us how he really feels about it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm sure that won't be awkward at all for you guys, right, John?
Yeah, y'all have seemed to done well in the partnerships, like with Football Outsiders. So NBC's next. It's right on your doorstep.
The goal is really just to get Pete paid for every show by multiple different companies, while I just work for free, basically, or
Pete is
on salary, I guess.
Pete is the Prop Joe. You're who was underneath Prop Joe? Cheese, Method Man, was that it? I think so.
Yeah. Honestly, being Cheese could not the worst thing in the world. Though being Prop Joe, I feel like I might have to put on a few more pounds. But honestly, with the pandemic, I'm basically there.
As Pete can tell you, it's probably a pretty good life, to be honest.
It probably is. So, John, we got you on here, and I'm referring to you as a Southern gentleman, but honestly, I just know you have the Southern accent. I actually don't know where you're from. So, first of all, let's answer that question, John. Where are you from?
I feel like it's the world, but I'm from Dallas. I was there for 20 years, and then I've since lived in Australia, Canada, Denver, California, New York, Connecticut, and I think that's it. Did I say Colorado? Colorado as well.
What's your favorite out of all those places? Obviously, you have to name and shame somebody here. So what's your favorite place you've ever lived?
I don't really like to shame any place, even though like living in New York is not good. I think people tell you it's good to be cool, but like it's not fun at all. You want to train in and treat it like Vegas, like 2 nights and then get the hell out. I think Colorado is genuinely the best. Once you experience, everyone knocks it, but once you experience in our industry football on either Pacific or Mountain Time, you can never go back. Like even if you want to complain about 10 a.m. football for the West Coast, I would tell you football gets done at 8 p.m. and you have the entire rest of your night. Even if you want to do dinner or work, that's fine too. So once you experience football that's not East Coast, like you've really tasted life.
Pete, do you have a thought on the locations here? Because I know you lived on the West Coast at some point. I'm leaving the West Coast, John, in a month and a half, and it's going to kill me because I'm thinking about my schedule for NBA, for NFL content, the same thing you're talking about here. And Josh Norris just trolling hard in chat too. So shout out Underdogs, Josh Norris. If you want to rebut any of his points, John, feel free. But I do want to get Pete's takes because Pete's also been a man who's lived everywhere.
Yeah, I do agree. Colorado is one of the best places to live. It's still like where all my family lives, and I always wanted to get away from that. So I don't have the same kind of feelings about Colorado that most people do. I still, if I could just completely choose, I'd go back and live in San Diego. I went to school there. It's really hard for me to find knocks on San Diego, and I would love to be back there. It will never happen. But if we're doing these fun hypotheticals, that's where I choose.
That's where our studio will be built when we have NBC Sports Edge and Football Outsiders paying us to build the monolithic company getting
paying Pete, not you, Chris.
Yeah, that's right. Paying Pete, right. I just have to be there for free and show up and then really bring a great attitude is the main thing there. But anyway, John's got the Southern accent enough here that we're doing Southern Insults Awards where our own Southern charmer here, John Daigle, is on the show. So we're going to give away some awards for fantasy based upon Southern turns of phrase that sound nice but are actually insulting. And John, I don't know if you're familiar with the site, but I pulled the vast majority of these from southernliving.com, which I think really gave me the perspective about what life is like there without ever having to step foot.
I know a bunch of women in Texas who actually use the site to decorate their homes. So yes, I'm familiar with the site.
All right, so let's get into these first ones. And John, you can just give us whoever comes to mind here. And if Pete, if you want to throw some in too as we go, we can do that. But first one I have up, and I think this is a really basic one, but bless your heart for trying. Is there anybody that comes to mind for you, John, when you hear that phrase?
Pete actually mentioned this to me as an example, and I think he's correct. He DM'd me Jimmy Garoppolo as the example, but I think that's right. Like, bless your heart for trying. Also, this is the most popular one. Anytime someone is just a complete idiot, you just tell them, bless your heart. That's the nicest way possible to say that phrase. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and use Jimmy Garoppolo, who may not even be an NFL quarterback. If you don't want to use Jimmy Garoppolo, you may just use Davis Mills, who also bless his heart for trying.
Well, don't burn too many on one answer here.
Sorry.
But I agree with you. The Jimmy G take is the one. Pete, you got one for this one, or you just want to burn through some more?
No, I'd love to pat your friend Mark Davis there right on the head and say, bless your heart for trying. I know you're losing snaps to a wide receiver that's now converted to the position you've been playing all your life, and he's out producing you, but bless your little heart, Mark Davis. Good luck in London this week.
Oh, Lordy. That's how I feel about that one. Next one up. Her biscuits not done in the middle, but we can overlook that. John, also, am I offending anybody by doing the Southern accent? I don't want to get canceled so early in the show, but John, that one, I don't know if there's one that jumps to mind here. Obviously, you could change it for whatever gender specific team.
Say it in English.
Yes. What is it again?
Her biscuits not done in the middle, but we can overlook that.
Okay.
I feel like that's going to be Trey Lance this week. That sounds like someone who has all the raw tools, but also he's going to hit the ground a couple times with throws directly into the field. And I think that's how Trey Lance is going to look this week. Not ready, but good.
Not ready, probably not the most delicious, but some point he'll be a fully formed biscuit.
The biscuits aren't done in the middle. Yeah.
All right. How about he is who he is? God love him.
He is who he is. God love him. This is Julio Jones, and Julio Jones is always injured, and God love him. He'll play 3 games this year. 2 of them will be good, and he'll miss the rest of them. That just is who he is, and God love him.
Urban Meyer. He's a terrible coach, but God love him.
His biscuit's also not done in the middle after the dance floor that he hit at his own bar there, but that's neither here nor there. It's really not his fault he turned out this way. That also feels like it could be Urban Meyer, but John, if you had someone for that award, who would it be?
It should have been Sam Darnold, even though his schedule is so easy that he is playing significantly better. It's not his fault he turned out this way. Let's go with Daniel Jones. How about that? How about we corrupt the Mara family and blame them for Daniel Jones, even though he's been good so far with 7 carries per game. We know it's not something we're buying into just yet, so it's not his fault.
Pete, I have one in mind here. I would say it's Justin Fields for me right now, given how he's looking to start.
Oh, that's a better one.
That's the best one. Yeah.
Matt Nagy just killing this man right now, not letting him throw the ball downfield. He may overcome it, but it's really not his fault, Pete, is what I would say.
Yeah, I like that one at all. Or a lot. I would toss in Jonathan Taylor. I feel like it's not quite Jonathan Taylor's fault that he hasn't reached his ceiling. You know, the team's been dysfunctional. Wentz has been in and out of the lineup. It's not your fault, Jonathan Taylor. You're going to be fine. All
right, one more. Well, actually, we got a couple more. Most people in town think he's really smart. So that's a little passive-aggressive one there. But I feel like this has got to be on the coach level, John. But who would it be that you feel like maybe people think are smarter than you do?
Most people in town believe he's really smart. It's probably Sean McVay Cliff Kingsbury's already been cracked. But McVay, if you even go back to that game against the playoff game against the Saints, like kicking a field goal on 4th down inside the 10-yard line, maybe even Sean McDermott, since that game's on deck. And last year in the AFC Championship, McDermott kicked 3 field goals on 4th and short, 2 inside the 10 in Arrowhead. Like there's no coach playing to lose more than him in that situation. So let's go with I'll go with Maffei, though, especially after last night's performance.
That is a good one. Pete, you got anything for this one, or should we keep moving it?
Yeah, what about Arthur Smith? I feel like he was a guy that people were excited about as being a sharp, and now you just see how uninspired this Falcons offense is. So I will say Arthur Smith.
Whenever you're jamming Cordero Patterson touches, you know you're not the brightest of minds.
Yeah, whenever you're denying Mike Davis, we all know that you're not doing the plus EV moves. So that's really the main thing there. Also, poor Willis, our accountant, getting a bless your heart in chat from Woman's Coin. So sorry, Willis. It's unfortunate you come to the show immediately get insulted like that. Next one up, he's a little rough around the edges, but he's got the best personality. John, I feel like there's a lot you can go here. For me, I'm going to go Russell Wilson up top. I feel like he's a little rough around the edges now with a finger that's looking something like a question mark or an Allen wrench is what I said on Twitter yesterday. But how are you feeling about that quote? Who's rough around the edges, but you just got to love to love.
Rough around the edges. I'm a big fan of when players talk shit and they do it well. So it doesn't help that he's not been good, but I think Baker Mayfield, when he is good, like there's no one who challenges players more than him. So I'm going to go Baker Mayfield. I think he actually is fun whenever he's good. Rare.
Pete, anybody come to mind for you rough around the edges, but a great personality?
You know, I'm going to take it less literally, and this is an olive branch to Daigle and Ezekiel Elliott. I think Zeke has had some of his warts. You know, there was been some time where Tony Pollard has been in there stealing touches, but he has really acquitted himself nicely over the past few weeks. This offensive line's gelling. The Cowboys look really good. And so, yeah, a little rough around the edges, but Zeke is getting it done. And now we're going to get him this week at what? Sub 10% ownership? Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, one more. I guess 2 more. I don't care what anybody says. Also, I feel bad that I'm the only one doing the axis. Pete, we should have alternated on this one.
Well, I did one, and then you got worried that I was going to get us canceled. So then I took the feed off you guys.
I was just embracing the character too much here as the one working for free.
I have the accent, so I don't need to do it. If I did it, it'd probably sound like Oscar from The Office whenever he's asked to talk like a Georgian woman. Like it'd be just bad.
I was also hoping you were going Oscar the Grouch too. I didn't know where that would have gone, but
that
I would have very much supported that. Another bit to keep in mind for us in the future. I don't care what anybody says. I think she's pretty in her own way. John, who would that be for you?
Who is fun but terrible?
Denzel Mims is my answer.
Yeah, no, that's more of a Monet, good from afar, but far from good.
He might not even be fun. I think Tyson Williams is pretty fun.
Yeah.
When Ronald Jones is good, he's never good. But like the times when he gets 15 carries, it is fun because you do have the full roller coaster of him blowing a blitz, fumbling the ball, but still getting to 100 yards somehow.
I'll say for me, it's going to be Jared Goff. I know that we don't like the Lions. We don't like Jared Goff coming into the year, but the man has thrown upwards of 50 times a game so far this year. And that's something that has value. That's currency here in the fantasy world. So I don't think Jared Goff's the prettiest belle at the ball, but I will say that he's somebody that I'm willing to dance on the floor with from time to time. Pete, how about you?
I'm going with Denzel Mims.
Okay. All right. I guess that's got to be it for you. And our last one here, isn't it just like you to wear a dress like that? John, who's wearing the dress that is just so ugly, but you got to point it out?
The faux first month MVP, Derek Carr. There's no faker team and faker good quarterback than Derek Carr, who just ask him. He'll tell you that he's so tired of everyone bad mouthing him, even though they've had one of the easiest schedules to date. Like everyone acts like the Steelers and a Ravens team that got injured mid-game were tough contests. No, not at all. Like the Raiders are such an easy team to bet against over the second half of the season.
Yeah, and Carr loves to sling it around, and he's going to put that dress on and continue to do that no matter how poorly it goes or how well it goes. And Pete, how about you? Anybody else that you want to point out here for just being like them to wear a dress like that?
Yeah, how about Ben Roethlisberger? He keeps putting on the same outfit that he has for the past 15 years, and it's just not the same, but he does put that dress on every week.
And what's sad is that my mom has said, I think all of these sayings.
Really?
Within a week's time, anytime I go back home to see her, yes. Like my niece is when she's like 6 years old now. When she was like 3, some of her first words were, "Oh honey," or "bless you," because she hangs around my mom so much. And my Southern mother just says all of these cliche things.
That's actually a very adorable, I think.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, so I'll support that one. I'm happy to, if there's anybody out there who wants to help me raise a Southern child, even if we're going to be growing up on the East Coast, then please help me do that as best we can. But it's that time, guys. First of all, the pander for likes here, whether you're watching on Pete's channel, whether you're watching on the Splash Play channel, or whether you're just watching anything on NBC Sports Edge, always hit that like button for the content creators that you enjoy. Show them a little love here because it helps us get seen by more people, so please do that. And of course, subscribe to the channels as well because we have a lot of great content coming on, whether it be on Pete's channel, the Splash Play channel, or on the NBC Sports Edge channel. Go subscribe to them all. Let's do some injuries that actually matter, and we got to talk about this one from last night. Russell Wilson injured his finger yesterday. Didn't look very good live. Seems like surgery is an option, so his consecutive started game streak may come to an end. And John, I'll ask you first here. We saw a little bit of it last night. Geno Smith coming in as the QB. Honestly, looked kind of good, but did throw the game away at the end. Mostly Tyler Lockett's fault, I think would say on that one. But how much does a move to Geno affect things moving forward for you with the Seahawks?
Are we sure that he's going to start the following week? Or
we don't know.
Are they
I think we're just total speculation on all of our ends, so we can couch it that way.
It was at least comforting to see him lock on to DK Metcalf and move the ball somewhat against a secondary we still think is significantly better than league average. But overall, yeah, it's concerning because this team does not have the play volume and they still don't really have an identity. Just to even the most laughable play of the year, I think, to run bunch formation on 4th and 2 and then run Alex Collins at Aaron Donald. Like that sentence I just said has 5 red flags and they still committed to it. And so overall, it's just not really a coaching staff or offense we were getting excited about anyways. Russell Wilson, as good as he is, has yet to finish inside the top 8 quarterbacks in fantasy because he just can't get there on their play calling. And so overall, like if you're now saying it's Geno Smith who has less volume, like, yeah, that's why we're worried.
Pete, how about you? Do you feel anything for Geno potentially being a starter in the spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big downgrade for the entire offense. I have no idea. It probably switches over to what we've seen from the Ben Roethlisberger offenses, these Broncos offenses, where, yeah, maybe one guy can get there just based on volume alone, but we're not going to see 2 to 3 Seahawks, go off without Russell Wilson there. So I think it's just going to be a survive and advance situation for the Seahawks for as long as Geno's there.
I do also love how the Football Outsiders bigwigs like Aaron Schatz and Mike Tanier shared the link. And then someone probably tuned in thinking good, hard football talk and then heard butter my biscuit within 3 minutes time.
I was gonna say we had one dislike on the video. It's probably just Aaron coming and being like, "Why did I approve letting them show on our site?" But that's the risk we take here, John. Yes, you're lucky you missed out on the low probability crystal ball segment we do, where Pete and I dress up like probably in a not ideal way. I'll say like a soothsayer rather than any other terms out there. But
I got a couple costumes lying around here. As Pete knows, when you buy a costume, you also then have to look for a reason to use it again, and really haven't needed to wear an American flag boxing robe just yet. So call me.
The key is to just get a prop bin and then you just throw them there and then you forget about them for 2 years. And then you're like, oh, I do have that. I could use that.
Yeah.
Also, a little teaser coming up for Monday. We are going to have some more props to be deploying soon, though. I don't know if, Pete, you're going to have any props, but just for anybody tuning in on Monday, of course, 2:30 Eastern time, 11:30 Pacific time. We'll be back on Monday, and we got a new segment that I'm sure people out there will enjoy. Very timely. Damian Williams practiced in full. Back to the injuries that actually matter. He's practicing in full. Looks like he'll be the lead back at Las Vegas. Pete, I'll ask you first here because this is a spot where John talked about, the Raiders here, they do tend to let people stay in games. Damian Williams getting that David Montgomery workload where he is clearly a big part of the rushing game, big part of the passing game. Is this a spot where Damian Williams is looking a little too appetizing for you this week?
Yeah, I'm excited about Damian Williams in this spot. And I think if it weren't for, P. Ryan, if it weren't for Leonard Fournette this week, who's cheap on DraftKings, we might end up getting some stuff here with James Conner. If Chase Edmonds is out, we might get Alexander Madison. So I think Damian Williams might get lost in this shuffle. And I'm pretty intrigued about him. I want to hear from John, because part of my thesis on Damian Williams is he's not going to lose pass catching work. What's the scouting report on Khalil Herbert and what kind of role could he potentially have?
Herbert did average over 8 yards per carry in his final year in college across the Big 12 and ACC. He transferred teams. He is actually a good prospect, but overall, like you, I don't think Damian Williams is going to lose touches. Whenever Montgomery went out in that game, it was Williams who handled 6 consecutive touches before he suffered that thigh bruise. And only then did Herbert come in. But even so, Herbert didn't run a single route last week in the interim. So I think Williams gets it all. Now, for DFS, it probably doesn't matter in FanDuel if we're going to get all the touches since he is so cheap there too. But at DraftKings, we have to get more than the 24 pass attempts the Bears have yet to exceed in 3 consecutive games. So because then the passing game usage for Williams really doesn't matter. Like 2 catches isn't going to factor into our process. So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out here, since also they did do a much better job in running a season high in a dual tight end and bunch formation sets to get max protect for Justin Fields last week against the Lions. Also, that's the Lions, though. The Raiders' strength, if they do anything right on defense, it's not in the secondary. It's genuinely getting pressure around the edges with their DEs. And that's where the Bears struggle to protect the quarterback as well as with their weak tackles. So that's why I actually am somewhat concerned about this offense this week. But overall, you're just going to play him on FanDuel if he gets lost in the shuffle for sure, because I think Williams will get every single touch.
There's some big gaps left behind by David Montgomery on the year. 38% of the team's total yards, 50% of their touchdowns that are going so far. So there's opportunity for Damian Williams if he can keep the game script where it needs to be. We got Antonio Gibson, who apparently news before the show. He's got a shin fracture that he's been playing through. He's currently questionable. And John, a shin fracture never is something you want to hear for your running back, who's also a pretty good volume guy. And you do have J.D. McKissic there waiting to take away some pass game work that could make Gibson a much worse play. So is he somebody you would even consider now, knowing that he is this banged up?
It's concerning because basically Gibson still only has 2 good games in his career. And it's a young career, I know, but they put a statue up in Dallas for him last year against the Cowboys, since he went for over 100 yards and blew them up in both games. But in that time, he hasn't reached over 90 yards, even in week 1 to have 20 carries for 90 yards. And this year he only has 20 receiving yards in 1 game. And that, of course, was the one time he caught the ball and had to go 73 yards for his touchdown, his only catch of the game in week 3. So it is somewhat concerning knowing that they are running more no huddle, but that package entails getting J.D. McKissic involved more, which is why his snaps and his usage has increased the past 3 games as well. So I don't know. The outlook seems to be as like an RB1 ceiling, top 5 running back. The ceiling seems to be dwindled for Antonio Gibson. Also, Heineke is sort of just living off efficiency and just being like a hand in the dirt, mow his lawn, good football player. Because when you watch him, it's like there's still so much inaccuracy there from him. He just seems to have been getting lucky, although he's still a baller. He is somewhat good at the game. So it just seems like something that's going to come crashing back to earth at some point.
Pete, where are you landed with Gibson this week, knowing that I know you've had some affinity for him in the past, so I feel like maybe not as much as I might be imagining in my head.
Yeah, I think my main problem where I don't see myself coming to him this week is I just don't know if I love this game environment for him. I don't mind kind of buying a little bit of an injury discount just because it does seem like it's more of a pain tolerance thing. But yeah, I mean, we've just seen these games with New Orleans. They're slogfest. They're running the ball 25 plus times with Kamara. I just see very little shootout potential in this game. Whereas I was very excited to play Gibson. What was it, a couple of weeks ago in that game with the Bills, just knowing there would be so many plays. So yeah, I'm less worried about Gibson than I am just that game.
And the Saints haven't passed more than 24 times in any game yet. Like, that is not their MO. They are trying to soak up all the possession and not turn the ball over, and they think that's going to win. And in 2021, when you're asking for volume in DFS, that's just like not our style. That's not going to get it done. That's why I even question Kamara's ceiling. Everyone thinks he comes in under rostered every single week. I ask you, like, does he have what it takes to be a top 5 running back in this offense? I genuinely don't think so unless things change.
Yep. So some risks there going on for Antonio Gibson this week to be mindful of if you are somebody that was locking him in season long or anywhere else. Joe Mixon's going to practice on Saturday to determine his status, though. That might be a little bit of a misread by me because I feel like it's odd to hear about a guy practicing on Saturday to get where he needs to go. T. Higgins, though, will be good to go versus Green Bay. Pete, Joe Mixon, we talked a little bit about maybe going Chris Evans' way, maybe Samaje Perine's way if we do get Joe Mixon in there just because of the workload he gets and the price points of those guys in DFS. But how do you feel about Joe Mixon? Is he worth playing on that Q tag if he does somehow get in?
Yeah, this is another one of those games that doesn't look very attractive for fantasy. It's a weird one. You know, Pat Thorman wrote this up as a pace down game with these two teams, and yet the total has still been hovering around 50. So I do think Joe Mixon is kind of, you know, the decision point of like, how does this game go? Because we know if Joe Mixon goes, the team loves giving him 20 plus touches. They do really want to establish it. But if things swing in the other direction and you don't have Joe Mixon, you have T. Higgins back, maybe this does pace up a little bit. So how I feel about this game is going to depend on Joe Mixon's health. What is your guys' read? To me, it seemed like he wasn't going to play, but now it sounds like he's trending in the right direction.
I still don't think he's going to play. Having said that, do you think Joe Burrow comes in under rostered? Like, is everyone going to start mushing him if and when Mixon gets ruled out? Because like, that's the double stack I want to play in this game.
I mean, the Green Bay passing DVOA giving up 1.2% more than average, but, you know, at least a league average team in terms of what they're allowing. It does seem like people, if they are flocking more to an Evans or a P. Ryan, you see that ownership number pop up on whatever ownership projections you're looking out there. I agree. Joe Burrow could be the pivot point there, but I also think playing Mixon, if you get him on that Q tag, like I wouldn't have an issue playing him on a Q tag just in the hopes that, you know, he is useful. So definitely an injury to watch and not the normal way this goes.
If Mixon's healthy, I will say I will get off Burrow because, it's funny because like the healthy running back, the better running back is still a hindrance to the offense becoming unleashed. And so, but if Mixon's out, I'm very interested because I understand the DVOA numbers. I support Football Outsiders, but also the Packers have played Jameis Winston, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Ben Roethlisberger. They're not a defense I'm scared of.
No, that's a good point. That is one way to look at the numbers too. And that's what we talk about the DVOA over at footballoutsiders.com/subscribe. Just a way to view the slate, and then you can make your own decisions from there. Christian McCaffrey, another running back, practiced this week, but I guess is now doubtful versus Philly. So a bit of a surprise there. John, in this spot, if we don't get McCaffrey out there, are you willing to go back to Chuba Hubbard after he was pretty much heavily vultured last week by Sam Darnold?
The way the slate worked out, I didn't play Hubbard last week, and it was just fine. But now we could see flop lag. I've gotten higher on him as the week has progressed because it's as simple as, you know, there are ways to quantify it, but literally just ask yourself, what if Sam Darnold didn't have 5 rushing touchdowns? What if someone else scored the rushing touchdowns? And the passing game usage was not for Chuba Hubbard. That was Rodney Smith. But since we know the Eagles defense is so poor and we could see more of a run heavy attack, then the fact that Hubbard did still have 81% of the team's running back carries compared to McCaffrey, who had 87%, very similar in weeks 1 and 2, like that's where the rushing touchdowns we are hoping would go. And so I think there is some flop lag and reason to play Hubbard in this game.
Pete, how about you? You want to go back Chuba's way with that price tag? Still just under $6K on DraftKings, so definitely not the discount the Bengals running backs would be per se if we do get no Joe Mixon out there.
Yeah, the price tag isn't nice, but the ownership is going to be really nice. Mm-hmm. I mean, no one is going to play him. Even if you're in that range, you're going to be playing a DeAndre Swift, a James Robinson, a Damian Williams. So I think he's going to go overlooked. And yeah, it is intriguing to me because he is just not going to project as a good points per dollar play at that salary, but that's what's going to make him a great tournament play.
Sam Darnold, too, also has 71% of the Panthers rushing touchdowns so far this year, which just seems unsustainable, especially just put a spy on him in the red zone, and then maybe that won't be the same result. So there are some ways here for these guys to have bigger touchdown days. And Darnold, I don't think you'd expect him being the Al Bundy every week, putting up 4 touchdowns. Julio Jones did practice officially out. A.J. Brown has been a full go and will play at Jacksonville. And John, this is a spot where the field's going to be going heavy to Derrick Henry. So it seems like A.J. Brown potentially under 10% ownership, though I think some of the ownership projections out there maybe a little bit more aggressive. Feels like A.J. Brown could be the pivot point and maybe the troll play of the week that we'll talk about in the next segment.
I wonder if he's going to get steamed like Odell Beckham did last week. I got on Nick Chubb. You get a 5-point bonus, but even then Nick Chubb didn't get there because he needs to score touchdowns. You understand when you play him. I genuinely think the field's going to catch up to A.J. Brown, and I want to play him. Like, I genuinely think he's the leverage to play off of Derrick Henry because even on a place like FanDuel, which is Pick'em this year, but 10-4, getting 24 points from Henry last week, you're not happy with that at all. And so just the fact that A.J. Brown had a 22% target share in his first 2 games played, and now we're also removing Julio Jones from the offense against this Jags defense, it's such an awesome play. I just do wonder if everyone's going to catch up.
Pete, what are you thinking in this spot here? Derrick Henry going to be very popular. FF Doom asking us all not to steam up A.J. Brown, but it's hard not to do that if you do see those projections. There's ownership projections everywhere out there right now looking a little bit low.
Yeah, I think he is going to get steamed, especially because he practiced in full yesterday, right? Like if it was still the questionable tag and he was limited,
he was limited on Wednesday. He never practices on Wednesday. He's always a healthy rest guy. And so the fact he even tried to go on a Wednesday tells us like he's ready to go.
Yeah, he's chomping at the bit. So it does just, I talked about it with TJ Hernandez earlier on my GPP show. He just stands out as the perfect leverage play. I think the less popular leverage play that won't get steamed as hard is going to be Aaron Jones instead of Devontae Adams. So that one I think will remain a little sneaky. I don't know though, with AJ Brown, his price is always up there. There's a lot of good prices. I think he'll still stay under like 11, 12%. But if you think you're getting AJ Brown and single entry small field stuff at like 5%, that's wishful thinking.
Aaron Jones also, 8 of AJ Dillon's 15 carries came in the fourth quarter whenever they had a 27-10 lead last week. I still believe he's just a contingency player. Whereas the 2 weeks prior, Aaron Jones outtouched AJ Dillon 44-14. So Jones also has 100% of the team's backfield carries and touches inside the 10 and 5 yard line. Like he's the player you want if you think it's going to be a competitive game or a shootout.
And you just saw TJ Burgess chat on the screen saying, AJ Brown's a bad play. Tell your friends so I could start him. And then Ivan Black, I'm just going to say it. It made me laugh. OBJ loves getting steamed is what he said.
That's why I laughed out loud earlier when you were talking.
That's just a good chat from Ivan Black, one of our regulars. So got to give him the shout out there. Let's clear out the rest of these injuries. Teddy Bridgewater cleared by independent doctors, should be good to go at Pittsburgh. And Pete, we've seen Pittsburgh be pretty crappy defensively this year. Not to go with the steaming joke again, but a different kind of crappy than Odell Beckham tends to gravitate towards. But it is a spot against Pittsburgh. This defense not that good, not blitzing that much. Teddy Bridgewater has been useful in fantasy, or at least for the most part, besides that last game against the Ravens, and the injury, of course, didn't help either. Are you willing to go Teddy's way and maybe stack these guys up going against Pittsburgh?
No, I'm not stacking this game. I think it has one of the lowest totals on the entire week. This one feels like another game where the Broncos are going to want to establish it with Teddy coming out of the concussion protocol. The Steelers, of course, want to establish it all the time with Najee. So I don't know. I think you could probably pick your spots here. You're going to be able to get a bunch of these guys at low ownership, but I am not rushing to click submit on any of these guys.
I don't think I'm going to play any of them. Deontay Johnson would be the one you have confidence in. I bet the Steelers earlier this week as home dogs, just because in what was the Broncos' first competitive game of the year last week, they trailed 17-7 after the half, and Bridgewater was available for that entire half, and they should have been down 21-17. Lamar Jackson overthrew Mark Andrews, I think it was. So I still just question if the Broncos are just a league average team right now.
I got to point out Cortland Sutton, and actually I'll ask you guys this question. If you had to guess Cortland Sutton's air yards per target or ADOT, if we want to go that way, John, what would you guess his ADOT for the year is right now?
13.7.
Pete, what about you?
I don't know, 10.6.
17.8, 2.5 deep targets per game, 124.5 air yards per game. So
the first 3 games, Bridgewater led the league in rate of passes 20+ yards downfield. It since has caught up to Lamar Jackson, who also leads the league in air yards per attempt, because like he's genuinely step by step with Patrick Mahomes' MVP right now. He's just doing everything since they only have bodies, just like cadavers in the backfield behind him.
Yeah, so something interesting there. I think Cortland Sutton under 6K on DraftKings, maybe a pivot point to an A.J. Brown if that ownership does steam its way up. So something to keep in mind. Last injury here to talk about, which is an important one. Chase Edmonds practice, but it's a game day decision versus San Francisco. Hopefully one that we'll know a little bit earlier in the day. But John, in this spot, if we do have Chase Edmonds out in this spot, could be James Conner getting a lot more work. I'm expecting James Conner to have some touchdown regression, but we do see Edmonds out. Clearly Conner's going to get that pass game work, or at least some amount of that pass game work, plus the touchdown he's been getting. So is this a spot that you consider an important one or a key one even on Sunday?
I just don't think we're going to have the room to play two of these guys who are all going to be talked about in that range, which is why like Hubbard and those plays are really good leverage options in the same pricing. But Conner, has only been a red zone option at this point. He's not being used in the passing game. He's not being used between the 20s. So that's two opportunities since Edmonds averaged 5.5 targets per game that have suddenly opened up, assuming Edmonds is out. So it becomes really interesting. I think he would be the one that, even if Damian Williams gets all the touches, like Conner could out-touch Damian Williams, making him the better play. I just want to see where their ownership numbers come in at.
Pete, how are you feeling about the Edmonds-Conner scenario? And would you be willing to play a Conner if we do have Edmonds out?
Yeah, Conner is a little tricky because, they've wanted to use him in a very specific role right now. We know he can catch balls. We saw him do it very well in Pittsburgh. So my worry is that they want to keep him in that role, and they bring a guy like Eno Benjamin, who has a pretty intriguing prospect profile and has him kind of slide into the Chase Edmonds role. So I don't know if I feel confident that he's just going to absorb that entire backfield.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable way to look at it. So keep an eye on the injuries there. Of course, that one's a game day decision. So hopefully we'll know earlier in the day on Sunday. Let's do our troll play of the week. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to be a guest on this show on Thursdays, go leave us 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts. Search Splash Play Pod. We also should be up on Google Podcasts. So I think we might have already been up on it, Pete, just so you're aware that I don't think we had to do anything to be on there. I think we have to see the stats that we had on Google Podcasts.
All right, so if you were looking for us on Google, I think it was Joshua. Was it Joshua?
Yeah, I think it was Joshua's our guy who was desperate to have us on Google Podcasts. We might have been there the entire time.
Maybe just fucking Google it, Joshua.
Do the work to watch this show. We don't want to do it.
I apologize.
So, all right, time for the troll play of the week, where there's one play out there that we all know will screw over a large portion of fantasy managers' preconceived notions of success out there. And I think we've talked about a few of them here. So I'm going to take the first flag, even though it's completely rude to both our guest, John, and to Pete. But whatever. It's all about me here and what I want in my troll play. And I think it's got to be A.J. Brown. But I will say I'll give a pivot point. If that ownership for A.J. Brown comes up, boy, wouldn't it be funny if this was the Nick Westbrook-Akeen week after he busted for 15% of the field yesterday? Something's going to happen this game, John, with Tennessee. So that's my troll play. What do you want as your troll play this week?
I think Leonard Fournette's a bad play. I think Gio Bernard is the troll of the week. We are only 2 weeks removed from him leading the team in snaps and targets and season highs. And I understand that was a negative game script, the rare event the Bucs are trailing. But also, like, to that point, Fournette was just getting by on 4 targets a game. He wasn't getting that amount of carries either. The Bucs also are still second highest in pass play rate when leading. They don't want to run the ball at all. And so to think we're going to get even 10 carries from Fournette again still seems wild to me that's where the field's coming in on. So I'm going to pick Bernard as my troll of the week.
Pete, what do you want as a troll play this week?
Yeah, so the field is going to play Devontae Adams. I'm going to get the GPP bros to play Aaron Jones, which means Robert Tonyan is finally going to have a really good game. It's
that's what I have right now.
Robert Tonyan game.
I kind of love, because remember, it's a wacky slate. Like, it's actually fun. I love the slates. We don't have Mahomes, the best tight end in the league, Dawson Knox, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Lamar Jackson. We don't have them on the main slate. And so the fact that you have to choose between Darren Waller or George Kittle, both who could let you down, like, that's when you get funky with your tight end. Like Robert Tonyan at season high in route rate, snaps, and targets last week. It only amounted to 2 catches for 8 yards. I think he's an awesome play.
Also, Francis in the chat saying Jimmy G not at practice again today, so maybe Trey Lance season. It did look like he was trending that way, but bless his heart, John, I guess we might not have Jimmy G this week to fall back on.
So it's easy to play Trey Lance in redraft given the rushing upside. And like, I was someone who did not play Justin Fields. I didn't like him against the Browns. It's a completely different scenario, completely different offensive situation. I still question if the Cardinals defense is even any good. Having said that, if you look at like what the Sharps have done, the game total has just come down significantly, a field goal and a half, I believe, since it initially opened. Plus, we have significant offensive line injuries to worry about for both Kyler Murray and Trey Lance. And so for DFS, knowing his price, he's going to be highly rostered. And cash game, sure, he's an easy player to lock in. But in tournaments, I think it's a pretty easy situation to fade, knowing ownership is going to come in on him.
Oh, Pete, how about you? If we need to get a Trey Lance starter, I feel like that Trey Lance, Deebo Samuel stack is going to be hard for me to not at least consider in some amount of lineups.
Yeah, I'm glad that the Jimmy G stuff has kind of dragged on throughout the week, because I do think if he was just ruled out early on, I mean, all the projection systems, everything would just be pointing to Trey Lance as a smash play at like 5,700, and he gets steamed really hard. That hasn't quite happened yet. He will be popular, but I'm excited about it. And I also love that he's in the 4 p.m. slot, because it gives us some outs there. You know, you can build your lineups. I try to have 2v2s and know, like, all right, say I am playing the chalkier Trey Lance to George Kittle, be prepared to have something where you could go off of that. Maybe it is going to like a Kyler and a Christian Kirk, or some kind of pivot that works within that in case that does become super popular.
It's also a good slate because you can make a case that the afternoon games we're late swapping to are all going to go under, where the past 2 weeks, I haven't felt confident in that at all. Like with the Vikings having really good matchups in the afternoon in weeks 2 and 3, and then also the Rams and Cardinals and Bucks all being there at some point in the past 2 weeks as well. Whereas this afternoon slate is interesting because maybe I just want to avoid it altogether, depending where ownership comes in at.
All right, now is that time, guys, for our ride or die picks. We're giving some of the hottest takes you're going to find in the fantasy industry, and that's the way we cover ourselves from all the mistakes that we make week in and week out now. But Pete, give the people the breakdown here. John knows, but John actually might need to be caught up on the insane level that we've changed the game to this week. We are shooting for the moon in every single game, it seems.
Oh, no.
No, John knows the deal. I am very happy that I've converted Spags from a little nit that just does the easy picks. He did revert back to his ways as Miss Cleo, touting Kyle Pitts and his 46% target share.
I said 200 yards for Kyle Pitts. That's a pretty brave take by my fantasy prognosticator, my future crystal ball.
Okay. All right. I'm being mean. I will say, John, the thing is we are getting aggressive these days. And also there's a lot of negotiation that goes on because the line gets set and then we kind of bat it around until we get it to a spot that is fair. But the one rule that persists is that there are only 1, 3, and 10 pointers. A lot of times a bet will feel like, yeah, it's probably a 5 or 6. Nope. Those don't exist within the splash play universe. So we have to negotiate until we land on one of those price points.
Okay. Works for me.
It's a tough economy here, John. So
I feel like I didn't bring my 10-point A game, but let's try.
I mean, honestly, different approach. Don't get roped into 10-point game. Maybe that's how you beat us when Pete and I inevitably strike out on the vast majority of the 10-pointers that we so willingly bring to the show each time. But let's start out with our London game. The Jets, 21.3 implied points. Atlanta, 23.8 implied points. Line on the books. This one is at a 45-point over-under and also -3 going towards Atlanta. This one, the Edge Sports line right there with it, -2 towards Atlanta, 46-point line. And John, you are our guest, so I'll let you have the first crack in this game that could be pretty fertile, though it won't be on the main slate, so it might not affect a large portion of people out there.
We're going to have to use the honor system here, but I assure you I am an honorable Southern gentleman, and I think, as everyone says, they're not excited about this game, and then we'll wake up to watch it. I bet my roommate Evan Silva sleeps through every single snap of this game, and that is my bet on this game.
So that's a 1-pointer?
That's a 1-pointer.
That's not fair. 1-pointer. Come on. All right. I'll get my 1 point out of the way for this one. That's fine.
But we need some data. What time is he normally up on a Sunday?
What time do they go on air? 10:45. Let's say 15 minutes before. So,
okay.
And kickoff is what? 9:30 Eastern or 8:30 Eastern?
Yeah. So also, I think you need to keep in mind, John, that you're talking to a man who did an entire season of a show with Evan Silva on Saturday morning. So I'm familiar with the timings there.
You're one of the croaky voice whenever it first hits record. Yeah.
Still brings his A game, though, to his credit, no matter how much of the Pedialyte's going down that morning. Pete, what do you want in this game here? Our London special.
Will you give me 10 points if Tajay Sharp outscores Kyle Pitts?
I don't know. That should be 10.
That shouldn't be 10.
That should be 3.
You might have to negotiate just on you, Spags.
Yeah. I mean, Tajay Sharp for Osmo, it looks like 8.5 is the projection. Kyle Pitts, 12.6. That's a 3.
Give me no, for a 3, I want one of Tajay Sharp or Christian Blake outscores Kyle Pitts.
Okay. I think that's fair. For a 3-pointer, I'll take that. I will say in this spot, I think Corey Davis is an explosion spot. Corey Davis, I'm sure, looks so excited to be in London, but really, because we're crushing the zone all year. Atlanta been terrible in zone, running at 80% of the time and giving up a 75.5% completion rate. DVOA numbers also back it out. 30th against wide receiver ones are this Atlanta defense on the year, giving up 35% more production. So that speaks to me. Play Corey Davis if you're waking up early and doing the showdown for the London game.
Hold on? Is that a point? Because that's 1 point.
That should be a 10. Okay, Corey Davis, I got to give an actual number. Corey Davis, Pete, is this a 10-pointer if I say 150 yards and a touchdown?
No.
I would have gone Elijah Moore leads the team in receiving.
See, I don't believe in Elijah Moore.
That's why it's a 10-pointer.
No.
Well, what's the yardage and touchdown numbers, Pete, to get to 10 for Corey Davis? Actually, fantasy-wise, I could take 25 fantasy points, right?
You could take 25 fantasy points.
Okay,
yes.
There we go. 25 fantasy points for Corey Davis. Mark it down. Now onto the main slate. We got Detroit getting 19.8 implied points. Minnesota getting 29.8 implied points. 10-point line in the books. Edge Sports has it as a 9-point line. And make sure you're checking out edjsports.com as well to see our 100,000 simulations. And Pete, do you want to read this chat instead of just putting it there?
It's so true. Josh says Spags is so hard on Pete's 10s, and then Spags turns around and tries to take easy 10-pointers. It happens every week, Josh. I'm used to his bullshit, and we just kind of deal with it.
Corey Davis will have 10 receiving yards, 10 points.
That's the thing that happens. We negotiate so hard and it ends up being completely wrong anyway. That's unfortunately the nature of the beast. But it's the Detroit Minnesota game. Pete, you have the world of options in front of you in a decently totaled game here. So what do you want?
Yeah, let's do will you guys give me 10 points if TJ Hawkinson scores the most DraftKings points of any non-quarterback in this game?
Given that we have Dalvin Cook and Jefferson and Thielen, I think I'll give it to you.
Right. I mean, even if we have Alexander Madison, I'll give it to you.
All right.
John, what do you want in this game?
Whatever I can get more points for, and saying whether Kirk Cousins is the overall QB1 in the main slate or in the winning Millie Maker lineup.
Those are both 10-pointers, I think.
Oh,
so which?
I
feel like taking the
which is the easier option for me? None. I will take overall QB1. How about that?
Yeah, I think that's the harder one, but that's weird because sometimes it's not the Millie Maker, so I think you're probably safer than just saying.
Oh, you know what though? His salary and his ownership. Well, is he going to get? I don't think he's going to get steamed. You know what? I'll go winning Millie Maker because he lets you fit some other good options, higher priced.
It's gonna be a real bummer when he finishes number 1 overall.
Oh, I'm going to be pissed.
Next game, actually, no, I got to take one here for this too. I will say for
Cousins
me,
will throw for 10 yards.
I'll take DeAndre Swift 200 total yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, that's a 10.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So there's my pick. See, is that brave enough for you, Pete?
You went from this side of the spectrum with 10 pointers to going for 20 pointers within one question.
This guy's fucking crazy.
10 pointers, calm down.
It's unfair that you get me at every turn, no matter what I do.
You can't win.
Next game up, Tennessee, 26.5 implied points. Jacksonville, 22 implied points. 4.5-point underdog at home in this spot. Over-under of this one, 48.5 in the books. 50, according to Edge Sports' 100,000 simulations. And I think I'm due to go first. And I'll make a brave take here as well. A.J. Brown over 25 fantasy points. Pete, is that a 10-pointer?
A.J. Brown over 25 fantasy points is not a 10-pointer. I'm seeing his ceiling projection at 25.5. So that would make it a 3-pointer for him to hit his ceiling projection.
Damn it. All right, I'll take it. I'll take the 3-pointer. I'm not going to be a hero. I got to get some points somewhere.
I'm also not going to be a hero. I see their projections very similar. I'm going to take Laviska Shenault over James Robinson for how many points do I get? 100?
3.
3. Thank you.
All right, John, what do you want in this game, Tennessee and Jacksonville?
Also, by the way, if Carlos Hyde is active, James Robinson then becomes really interesting because that's when Robinson's ownership gets depressed. And Robinson out-touched Hyde 35-10 in weeks 2 and 3. We don't care about his usage last week. We still like what he did and the changing of the guard prior to that. So that's why I'll be interested in Robinson if Hyde's active. I don't know if this is swinging for the fences or not. We're going for 10 points, but I will say Trevor Lawrence scores more rushing touchdowns than Derrick Henry.
It's got to be a 10.
That's a 10. That's
hot. 10 points. Okay.
But a resourceful 10. And then theoretically, we could both be right and get 10s here. They
started running him more the past 2 weeks. 7 carries per game. They're opening him up finally.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's a pretty good one. Okay, interesting.
I didn't want to tell you that data before I gave you my 10 points. Though, so.
Maybe he'll be sneaky in tournaments, honestly. Trevor Lawrence, people are off the scent because he's been so bad to start the year, but damn, that certainly should turn around at some point. If maybe the team will rally behind Urban Meyer being a creep. We'll find out this week. Miami, 19 implied points. Tampa Bay, 29 implied points at the spot. They're a 10-point favorite according to the books, 11-point favorite according to Edge Sports. Over under about the same as well. John, we're back to you to go first with Tampa Bay and Miami, the Battle of Florida.
I think I already spoiled mine. Which one should I go with? I already did Gio Bernard as the troll, and I was going to say Gio outscores Leonard Fournette. But what if I say Myles Gaskin under 10.5 total yards? What will that give me?
10.5 total yards?
Under 10.5 total yards.
He's not on the injury report, right?
No.
That's a 10-pointer for me, Spags.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. He's been so bad that it's definitely a viable one, but I think that's the kind of plays that I'll take here. And I think John's showing the savvy.
You said 10-point games is what this show has become.
All right, Pete, what do you want here? Do you want to take maybe Patrick Laird makes the team here? That's a 10-pointer.
You're going to try to reject this, but you're going to realize it's a 10-pointer. Spags, the top 5 scoring players in this game are all Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You got to give me 6 now. Pete has nailed this bet 2 weeks in a row. It's too easy. Give me 6 players, and that's a 10-pointer.
6? No,
yep.
I mean, there's Jacoby Brissett, there's Waddle, there's Parker.
6.
John, tell him how hard that is.
Parker's a game time decision. He's literally the only player I have faith in. The only, because Waddle, that's nothing. Who cares about Waddle?
What about Brissett? It includes the quarterbacks.
I mean, isn't Brissett's combined rushing and passing 269? Not a nice 269. Yeah. It's not even good, and that's even a safe under. So
4.9 yards per attempt for Jacoby Brissett so far this year.
I would rather do four guys, the top 4, and get 3 points than 6 for 10.
Okay, I mean honestly, 4 should probably be a 1-pointer given how you've exploited this edge, but that's fine.
I think 4 is pretty safe since you have literally 6 guys that could be there. So because 6 you need a running back, at least not 2, to hit as well.
Yes. Okay. So I'm taking top 4 scores in this game are Buccaneers for 3 points. And I'm upset that no, it's not even that good. You closed the loophole and I was just doing so good.
It had to be. I'm glad I finally did. I will say for me, how about, Mike Evans doubles up one of Chris Godwin or Antonio Brown in fantasy points. Is that a 10?
That's not a 10.
Doubles up. 2x.
Like an 8.
It's like a 7.5.
How about 2.2x?
Okay, fine.
Okay, fine. There we go. Well, poor Willis is having to really keep track of some esoteric bets. Anyway, that's why he's earning the big bucks now. Philadelphia, 20.8 implied points. Carolina, 23.8 implied points in this game. Spread is 3 everywhere, according to Edgeperts and the books. And I think, Pete, we're due for you to go first.
Okay. Should we do something with Chuba after making that call? Although that gets a little dicey if McCaffrey plays, and then I don't want to have to be updating this on Sunday.
I don't think he's gonna play. Rule said something to the extent of if he's listed with an injury, which he's been listed every single day, he wasn't going to play anyways. So they said he's going to do some things health-wise, quote unquote, on Saturday. Nothing sounds good like he's going to play.
Okay. I just have to sneeze. Will someone else go while I sneeze?
Pete's slowing down and sneezing in slow-mo for some reason.
Yeah. Your video lagged when you were sneezing, which is not the ideal thing for us.
I'll take DJ Moore, millionaire maker winning lineup. I think I'm not gonna say an easy 10-pointer, but that's a 10-pointer I have some faith in.
That's a 10-pointer because his ownership's gonna be so high that's gonna be hard for that to happen.
Also fair. All right, John, what do you want?
I've already used a 1-pointer. I need a 3-pointer. Chuba Hubbard's scoring more rushing touchdowns than Sam Darnold. Is that 3? As I ask like a wimp and don't convince myself really well.
Chuba scoring more than Darnold?
Yeah, I'll take whatever can get me a 3. Chuba Hubbard scoring more fantasy points, scoring more rushing touchdowns, whatever you would like me to take.
No, more points than Darnold's a 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree. More touchdowns, maybe not. Though Chuba has not scored a touchdown this year, and Darnold is scoring all of them. So I think, even based on the projections, the season-long projections, I would probably be right. Pete, what do you want?
What do I get if Kenneth Gainwell outscores Miles Sanders?
Nothing. You got a pat on the head and a 1-pointer.
I will take. Do I get 3-pointer if Jalen Reagor outscores Devonta Smith?
John, how do you feel about that?
Their projection is different by 4.5 points. That's a 3-point.
I think I would let him slide with a 3-point, even though I don't know if I'm feel good about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're leveraging against the play for the projection, so I think that's sort of inherently going to be a lower value. But I'll give you 3.
Thanks,
it's a kind
Ben.
show.
Let's move on.
All right, Denver. Next game up. We got to make some better time here, so it's on me. Denver, we got to pick them here in this game on a 40-point over/under, 39.5-point over/under according to the books. Edge Sports has it a little bit higher at 45-point over/under, so maybe some hope there. But boy, this is an ugly one, and I think I'm due to go first now, so I'll take. Cortland Sutton here. I'm giving away the Millie Maker lineup. Cortland Sutton, millionaire maker winning wide receiver as well, alongside his pal DJ Moore. All right, Pete, what do you want?
Do I get 3 points if Javonte Williams outscores Melvin Gordon?
No, you don't. You get 1.
So you just admitted that.
I don't know if you get 1.
Then you get 0.5. Look, I mean, Javonte Williams projected for 9.3 from Osmo. Melvin Gordon projected for 9.4 from Osmo.
Fine. Then I don't want to do that. I will say, will you give me 3-pointer if Tim Patrick outscores Cortland Sutton?
Regretfully, yes, I will.
Thank you.
All right, John, what do you want?
Well, I had Anthony McFarland queued up, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be activated before Sunday. So I have to change my topic and say, what about Ben Roethlisberger accounts even through the air? Ben Roethlisberger accounts for all of the Steelers' TDs. That's not a 10, right? That's probably not.
That's probably
so you're basically saying no Najee Harris or rushing touchdown.
Correct. Yeah. Not even a defensive touchdown. I'm literally saying every point they score, Roethlisberger accounts for it.
So no field goals then too.
Minus extra points.
Okay, but extra points not included, but field goals included?
I'll take that.
Okay, that's a 10.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, they're definitely kicking a field goal.
Daigle's
if they don't kick a
field goal, good at negotiating against himself, and I'm like, let's do it.
Green Bay 26.8 implied points. Cincinnati 23.8 implied points in this one. Over under a 50.5 according to the books. Edge Sports line at 52, so maybe a little bit of some edge there to take the over on this one. And I think we're back to you, John, to go first.
Robert Tonyan with Kirk Cousins is in the winning Millie Maker lineup. They're together.
Wow.
Oh, that's a 10, yeah.
I've already given you 2. We've actually given people 3 players: Cortland Sutton, Kirk Cousins, and Robert Tonyan in the Millie Maker lineup. Spoiler alerts.
You're giving the answers to the test here.
I know.
I'll just do the 3-pointer I've already talked about. Aaron Jones outscores Devontae Adams.
Can we point out Pete's just taking some layups here, huh? Not doing any 10s anymore. Giving up on that game?
I'm a winner, Spags, and that's what winners do.
I thought we were only allowed to give away 1.1 3-point now.
No, you can do as many as you want. I've just been doing 10s because I've given up on trying to just make logical bets. And instead, we're really doing the wagertainment here more, John.
Yeah, that's what the show's become.
Fine. I'll change mine. 10-pointer Aaron Jones winning Millie Maker lineup.
Okay. Now we're giving away 4 spots.
Yeah, I know people are going to have too many spots in the Millie Maker lineup.
Actually, everyone's so cheap in our Millie Maker lineup. I don't know where the salary goes, to be honest.
I will say for me, I don't know that I love any of these. I'll say, you know what? This is going to be stupid, but why not? Jamar Chase, you want 3 receivers in the Millie Maker lineup? Jamar Chase is going to be there too. If none of these hit, you're going to find one sad Spags come Monday. That's what I'll tell you.
So far we have naked Kirk Cousins, Aaron Jones and Robert Tonyan taking each other's touchtdowns, Cortland Sutton and Jamar Chase in the Millie Maker lineup.
And DJ Moore. I also said DJ Moore too.
Oh, God. DJ Moore.
So,
does this lineup even? We're gonna have to actually try to make this lineup.
You may need to go make it right now. Yeah.
Let's go to
hang on real quick? The team that won the game changer last week, the $1,500 single entry, had a naked Kirk Cousins and not one single stack or correlated player in his entire lineup.
The Millie Maker didn't have Tyreek at all.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
I like legitimately, because I had Tyreek and I was not on Derrick Henry at any point throughout the week because I loved the Jets money line and thought paying down for their defense was the right play as leverage. And even so, like middled every tournament because I had the Vikings Browns stack and like I struggled to sleep at night. And then I saw the results on Monday with Tyreek-less lineup, naked Kirk Cousins, 3 maxes, Sam Darnold with Dalton Schultz and Zeke runbacks were winning as well. And it's like, never mind. I forgot how stupid DFS is.
It is a tough game to win. That's why you give away all the Millie Maker picks on the show and hope one of them hits, and then you'll look like a genius. That's what.
Well, they're 5 players to that point.
Next game up, we got New England 24.3 implied points, Houston 15.3 implied points. They are a 9-point dog at home, though Edge Sports does have this closer to a 5-point line. Hard to have much faith in Houston after last week. I guess I'll go first this one. Or Pete, no, you're due to go first. Go ahead.
let's see here. It is Ramondre Stevenson. Not only is he active, he leads the Patriots backfield in DraftKings points.
He's got to be active, which is always the tough task. So I think that's a 10.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he's probably not going to be active, I would.
Right.
So
well, I mean, that's a losing bet if he's not active.
That's true. All right, John, what do you want in this game? I'll let you go before me.
The Texans team total is 15.5. Mm-hmm. I'm going to alter it, make it a half point, and go under.
You did a teaser in our ride or die here. I love it.
So wait, you're saying they don't score a single point?
I am saying they don't score a single point.
Okay.
Their team total is over 2 touchdowns. I'm saying they don't score a single one, not even a field goal.
That's a 10. That's a 10. And another viable 10. I'll go against you, though. I'll say Brandon Cooks. Pete, what if he gets 125 yards and a touchdown? Would you say that's a 10-pointer?
Just do the 25 point. No, his spat. I mean, Daigle, help me out here. I mean, 100. No, you got to do what was the Corey Davis one? We did 25.
We said 25 for Corey Davis.
Yeah.
But Cooks has a better probability of doing that than Corey
Especially
Davis.
Because Anthony Miller had over a 20% target share for 2 weeks in a row, and they just cut him midweek. So, like, now where the hell do those targets go?
I guess we'll
Unless you can make
out.
a case for, like, Danny Amendola, you want to say he has more targets than Brandon Cooks.
Maybe Chris Conley. Who knows?
Your 10-pointer Spags is over 28 DraftKings points.
Over 28?
Yes.
All right, I'll take
Might
it.
as well say it's up for the winning Millie Maker lineup with the 9 other guys.
Wait, can I know? How about 26.5 then? I'll push back.
No, 27.5.
That's not the middle ground, but 27.
Daigle.
27 for Cooks?
Yeah.
10-pointer? That fine. I'll give it to you just because I want this show to be over.
I think it's fair. I think it's like 9 points. I think it's fair. Also, FF Doom asked, how many times has an NFL team been shut out 2 weeks in a row? The Jets in weeks 2 and 3 were shut out, but the Titans defense is so bad, the Jets then scored 23 points on them last week. I think that's me convincing myself to play Trevor Lawrence the more and more we move along this show, actually.
That's what we're really about on the show, enabling people to make the bad choices, probably.
Yeah.
But, conviction choices, that's really the main thing that we go for here. All right, New Orleans, we got 22.8 implied points. Washington, 20.8 implied points. Washington, a 2-point dog at home in a game with a 43.5 line on the books. And Pete, you can go first.
All right. Ricky Seals-Jones is a player for the Washington
with 2 arms.
That's a 1-pointer, I think.
Ricky Seals-Jones scores 2 touchdowns for a 10-pointer.
Yeah, that's a 10-pointer.
That's fair. Yeah, that's 10-pointer.
John, what do you want?
He may not have 2 touchdowns in a season. Think about it. So
don't fud my pick.
That's 10 points. Alvin Kamara's career high in touches is 31. I think he breaks that this week.
Okay.
Ooh.
He may not even be the winning Millie Maker with 32 touches, but I think he gets past 31.
What's his career high, John?
31.
31.
And this week we're taking out Tony Jones's 6 routes per game, 6 targets. They only have Devine Ezigbo, who's been on the team since Wednesday, behind him, active. I would imagine he gets every single touch. But you gave it 10 points already. You don't get to listen to the data and then change your points.
All right, 10 points.
All right, that's fair. I mean, we got to. So one of these has to hit. So I think we'll take one to make sure at least John, you hit one of them for all of us on behalf of us. For me, I will say Terry McLaurin under 50 receiving yards. Is that a 10-pointer?
No.
40.
No, I mean, these are 3-pointers.
Okay.
Your video only slows down whenever you sneeze. It's a very odd inception we're living in.
Yeah, my internet's being shaky right now. No, because that's well within his range of distribution. Like that happens. You need it to be like a 10% probability for that. So you got to be like under 20 yards.
Okay. What if Adam Humphries outscores Terry McLaurin? Is that a 10-pointer?
Yeah, that's a 10-pointer.
Okay. All right. Let's do it that way then. There we go. We figured out a way to get the approach I was hoping
That's
for.
definitely a 10-pointer. Yeah.
Okay. Cleveland, 22.8 implied points. Chargers, 24.8 implied points. A line on this one is going to be -2 favoring the Chargers, maybe a little lower than you'd expect with the torn labrum or partially torn labrum for Baker Mayfield. John, you can go first. What do you want in this game with Cleveland and the Chargers?
Who keeps track of the bets in the back? Josh, what's his name?
Willis.
Our guy Willis.
Willis,
our
okay.
accountant.
Willis is awesome.
Actually, a
There you go.
professional accountant is tracking this for us. Yeah.
Well, God, he needs to just stick with that. Willis, congrats on your accountant job. And then also, my bet is when you pull up Pro Football Reference Monday morning, you see Nick Chubb lead Kareem Hunt in every category in that box score. Every single one. That includes yards per catch. That includes targets, catches, touchdowns, snaps. Every single category, Nick Chubb leads Kareem Hunt.
This man is unhinged. Every category?
Every category.
Wait. Are you saying most of the categories or all of them?
I believe, unless I mistook, I said all of them.
Wow. Okay. So now we're getting wild. Pete, what do you want?
I want something with Mike Williams. I think Mike Williams is going to rise back from the dead. Let's keep taking some Millie Maker shots. I'll say Mike Williams in the winning Millie Maker lineup.
All right, this is a weird one, but I don't know where else to go with it. But how about Jalen Guyton scores a rushing touchdown? Is that?
Yeah, that's a 10-pointer.
That's a good one.
Thank you for donating.
Look, the important thing is we try some different takes here. Maybe one of them hits. Chicago, 19.5 implied points with Justin Fields now the starter. We talked more about that on yesterday's show. Vegas, 25 implied points on their end, so they are a 6-point favorite here at home. And I feel like I'm due to go first for one of these. And I'll take you know what? I love Damian Williams. I'm not saying that he's a bad play. I will say, though, Allen Robinson, top scoring position player in the game. Is that a 10-pointer based on his year-to-date numbers, Pete?
I actually think it is.
He has not been good. I think we can all agree.
Hang on. You say the top scoring overall?
Top scoring position player, so not a QB.
So you still have to beat Waller. You have to beat Jacobs, Ruggs, Damian Williams.
Mooney, who he has not beat at all so far this year.
I'm inclined to give that to him. I think it is a savvy bet by Spags, though. What do you think, Daigle?
I think we just go ahead and give it to him.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Sean. Okay, there we go. That's the Southern hospitality we were looking for.
I'm not a good negotiator for this game. I just swing for the fences. That's all I do.
They'll swing for the fences once more, John. What do you want in this one?
I will take. What about if I say Bryan Edwards leads every receiver in this game in receiving yards? You got to give it to me, right?
Every receiver? Yeah.
Every receiver in this game in receiving yards.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he doesn't catch balls in the first half, and so we're hoping that in the fourth quarter he just gets thrown targets.
Some savvy 10s in this one. Pete, how are you going to follow it up with your 1-pointer?
Don't auto reject this. This is a 10-pointer. The top 4 scoring players are all on the Raiders.
No, that's not a 10-pointer anymore.
No, I just told this isn't like the Buffalo Bills situation or where one team is so much better than the other. We're talking about the Raiders and the Bears. You got Justin Fields. You just said we got Allen Robinson up here. We got Damian Williams.
Darnell Mooney.
The top.
I'll give you the 10 for 5 and this one.
No deal. No,
So
come on.
4 for
Fine.
3.
Now give me. Then I'm going to take a 3-pointer. Top 3 scorers are Raiders.
Oh, I don't know if that was fair, but that's fine.
It is. It's very fair.
It's a 3-pointer. It's not going to hurt us too much, John. It's fine. We'll let him have it.
Okay,
3 points.
that's
Go
fine.
ahead. Take it, Pete. Take your little layup. Little bunny shot for Pete today.
No, 3-pointer. They're literally called 3-pointers for a reason, Spags. It's a nice corner 3 shot.
San Francisco, 22.3 implied points. Arizona, 26.8 implied points. Spread on this one is -5 for both the books and edgesports.com. Over under a 49 as well. And John, you can go first.
It's probably a 1 or 3-pointer. Again, very good at betting against myself and setting it up for y'all have to vote that. But I think 49ers money line. I will eat the 5 points and just take them straight up to knock the Cardinals to 4-1.
All right, that's a 3-pointer.
Yep, that's a 3. Pete, what do you want?
DeAndre Hopkins, the resurrection happens. I will say, what do we need? What do I need? Over 27 DraftKings points for a 10-pointer?
For who is it? Sorry, DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah, have you heard of him?
Honestly, you can take him
Past
for
3 weeks,
25.
not heard
I'll
of
be
him,
fair, and actually, as a showing of good faith and moving forward in a positive light, I'll give it to you at 25.
You'll give me 10 points over 25?
Yep.
Sold.
Okay. Do we want to shake on it? How do we do this? Wait, no, you're to my left.
I think that was the first actual negotiation in this show.
Yeah.
No, that was a generosity. That was giving Pete a little charity here for his guy who's not as relevant this year as he has been in the past. So I think that's fine. In this spot for me, I will take. It's hard not to take Debo, but Debo, anything you're gonna give me for Debo is gonna be awful. You know what? Debo Samuel, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, Pete. And that is that 10 points.
Did you say 200 yards?
Yes.
If he go, Spags, I will make show history. I'll give you 15 points if he does that.
Okay. Devo
One time only. One time only.
So 15 pointers now in the mix here in our rock and jock version.
Don't get used to it. Don't get used to it.
New York Giants, 22.5 implied points. Dallas, 29.5 implied points. The Daniel Jones Renaissance is on. Pete, what do you want first?
I want the chat to shut up about how savvy my Hopkins bet was. Let's see here. I am going to say Kadarius Toney outscores Amari Cooper for 10 points.
Kadarius Toney did
me.
Well, these guys are coming back. The Shepard and Slayton are playing, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they were at practice Thursday. I would assume they play.
They were limited. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's 10 points.
I think it's fair. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, John, what do you want?
Dan, well, this is now that I wrote it down, I see it's more like a 30-pointer. I would like to go for 15 points. Is that possible? Just 10.
I mean, I got one. I feel like we got to give John one.
Let me hear it, then I'll decide.
Daniel Jones runs for more yards than he passes for.
Okay, that's
a 15. That's the new. Everyone gets one 15-pointer now. New rule.
I'm getting my 15 out of the way.
This game has really become more and more like kids playing in a yard where they're just making up the rules in the game as they go. It's like, yeah, 15, sure, why not?
Yeah. What? You got a 15?
Yeah. If you do it in the Miss Cleo voice, you get 20 for one pick per game. All right, that's fair. For me in this spot, I will say, boy. You know, I didn't pick a Millie Maker QB, so I'll say Daniel Jones Millie Maker QB this week for an easy 10.
But okay, but we already have Kirk Cousins there, so we're gonna have an interesting time.
How are these people going to pick between them, John? They'll have to decide who they like more.
We're giving them options. Also, Ginobili asked, "Does John actually live in Silva's basement?" And I will tell you, last year it was the attic, but also that's the only bed in the entire effing house that is a bed frame. And Silva found that out when I left, started sleeping in it over the winter, and kicked me out. And now I live in the basement. He lives in the attic where it's more comfortable.
So you're full Uncle Joey in Full House now.
We are full on, yes, full. Even though it is odd, like people think we just like talk about football all the time. Most of the time we don't see each other till 7 p.m. Like he's just grinding or sleeping. I'm like grinding or going out doing something, and like that is our lives right there. That's all it is. Okay,
so there you go. So that's another fun fact for Evan Silva here. Go make sure to ask Evan Silva about how life is down in the basement.
Ask him if he's going to wake up for the London game. We need that 10 points.
That's actually a very important one to verify here. You could just lie about that one. We would never know.
Oh, honor code. I'm an honorable Southern man.
All right, we got Sunday Night Football here, the big game. We got Buffalo, 26.8 implied points. Kansas City, 29.8 implied points. Buffalo also set a DVOA record last week of their performance against Houston in terms of how much they limited production relative to what an average team would be expected. In this spot, though, going against Houston, they are a 3-point underdog, or going against Kansas City, going a 3-point underdog for Kansas City. 56.5 point over-under. We're back on track now. Pete, what do you want this Sunday Night Football game? And John, in case you've forgotten, for Sunday Night Football, you just pick a showdown captain, and that's the 10-pointer here.
We'll let our guests go first here.
Okay.
The showdown captain, I will pick. It's going to be popular. Well, God, Travis Kelce's going to come in so popular. Travis Kelce's going to be more rostered than Tyreek Hill and the captain, right?
I would think so. I mean, it's going to be close for those guys, but
can I go elsewhere with the 10 point? I just need the captain. That's it.
Yeah. So yeah, you can just pick whoever. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just go Travis. I'm just going to go Travis Kelce. Okay. And if I get it right, I get 10 points.
Yep.
I'll go Travis Kelce. Even though Patrick Mahomes is probably the way you want to win tournaments with like that. Probably.
It's tough with the QBs. They always that's one of the things that people always fall into. I think less so this year, but generally like people like to put QB as a captain, and it's been tough to get. I don't know if a single QB has won a showdown captain. Probably like Jalen Hurts has at some point.
Well, I thought that was the play last night, and it didn't matter because Russell Wilson got injured. But since the ownership was completely sold on just like pretty much 4 guys between Lockett and Metcalf and Kupp and Woods, I thought you played the quarterback to get the touchdown equity elsewhere. Turns out it didn't matter. You just needed DK. It's because life is that simple.
It's worth pointing out, like, as I think just real fast, obviously we got to finish up the show, but like Cooper Kupp being priced more than the QBs, like you're right. That's the point where you start to play QBs more at captain, but historically like QBs have also been always over-owned at captain. So it's been a bit of a change to the showdown strategy that I think both players and DraftKings has tapped into. But Pete, I'll let you go here. What do you want for your showdown captain?
Stephon Diggs.
That was exactly what I was thinking, you rat bastard. I will say he's so due. He's so incredibly due that's
you
gotta
can
happen.
you can pick Gabriel Davis. It's fine. Go for it.
No, I'll take Manny Sanders, the people's
Sanders,
Stephon Diggs is what we're calling him this year. Who's getting the same amount of targets, basically. So we're like same amount of air yards, not quite as many targets, but doing better with them. So hopefully that continues.
I wonder how many people are going to put Josh Gordon in there because it's coming.
Ooh, do you think? Here's a question: do you think he gets a single catch in that game?
No, not at all.
Pete, do you think he gets a single catch, or does he run a single route in that game?
Probably not. No.
Like McCole Hardman can't even get a catch, and he's still running the route. So I don't know how Josh Gordon does it.
Yeah,
That's a good line though. Over under 1 there for, I don't know. I hope so. For the fans.
I haven't looked at the prop bet market for Josh Gordon, but I feel like if there is one out there, I'd probably take the under on whatever there is out for old Josh Gordon. Excited to see him back in the league. And those are all of our Sunday games. So John, give the people the plugs one more time here. Of course, NBC Sports Edge doing great work. You are, along with everybody over there, really a fantastic content offering that they're building up. And also you are at not J Daigle, Daigle. So people should be following you on Twitter. But anything else you want to plug or say here?
Those places, as well as like we talked about earlier, NBC Sports Edge, the player news is running right now. Kerrane is in over his head. The blurbs are getting pumped out. Also a good football show where subscribe, iTunes, Spotify, 6 episodes a week, 5 live shows per week. Tune in. Pat Kerrane and myself always do a halftime Monday Night Football for that, however long it lasts, over waiver wires and our top pickups on a Monday night to get your head in the right place for waivers. So tune into everything. We're just having a great time, and it's very busy.
Also, Josh Duck asking in chat, when's the next cooking video, Daigle?
Well, they got rid of, what were they called? Fleets. They got rid of fleets.
Oh, so you can't do a full good football show while cooking for the people?
No, but also part of I shouldn't tell you the strategy, but part of my bet in against Silva waking up for the London game is also like we're having friends over for like a birthday dinner on Saturday and I'm cooking for everyone because that's what I do.
So you have
and
insider trading information.
And I also know how many bottles of wine I'm going to buy. And so I know what level he's going to be on by the time he wakes up Sunday morning. So I think there is a little bit of insider trading going on here.
Wow. All right. So yeah, make sure to go keep your eyes peeled at not J Daigle.
Rigged the splash play. You wanted to up the game. I rigged it.
All right. Pete, give us your plugs here. We could do the viewer guest thing on Monday. I feel like we can pull that done.
Yeah. I will be back on Sunday morning rather at 10:30 a.m. to catch up on all the latest ownership movement, top stacks, top plays, all that for my GPP bros out there.
If you want to be in our drawing on Monday to be a viewer guest, go leave us 5 stars and review an Apple Podcast now. Hopefully it'll clear in time so you can be in the mix when we do the drawing on Monday's show. Make sure to follow at not J Daigle on Twitter, follow at Peter Overzet on Twitter, follow at Chris Spags on Twitter, as well as at Splash Play Pod. And make sure to go to footballoutsiders.com/subscribe to get the greatest data you will ever find in your life over there, including DVOA, the stat that everybody knows and references in every fantasy and betting show out there. Footballoutsiders.com/subscribe. $5 a month. We'll see you guys on Monday. Enjoy your weekends. Bye.
Say it. Hey, guy, real quick. Daigle, you want to say something?
Cortland Sutton just rolled his ankle in practice, so take him out of your Millie Maker lineups. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Tim Patrick Millie Maker lineup.
remember who took Tim Patrick out scoring Cortland Sutton?
Well,
Peace out.